Is it possible to build a robust, reliable time management and productivity system only using Apple's tools? Well, that's what we're going to look at in this video. Now, the way we're going to look at this is to look at it through the framework of the COD time management system. Now, for those of you not familiar, COD stands for Collect, Organize and Do. And it's the absolutely fundamental basics of any solid time management and productivity system. You need to collect everything that comes your way that has some interest. You then need to have some time each day to organize what you collected, and the rest of the time you need to be doing. So the real question is do we now have the tools with the right features to be able to do that using only Apple's tools? Well, I think we do. Let's start with collecting. Now, Apple Reminders has come a long way over the last 10 years or so. Now, also with the introduction of Siri, it is just brilliantly simple to get stuff into your system and into your Reminders inbox. Now, for those of you not familiar, I would strongly recommend that you do create a list in Reminders called Inbox, so that when you do engage Siri, you can actually just say, add this to my inbox, and Siri will do the rest for you. Now, for those of you who have an Apple Watch, using an iPhone, an iPad, or even a MacBook or iMac, all of this is going to be available to you either by a movement of a wrist, engaging Siri using the Siri command, by your voice. I'm not going to do it. Or you could just set up the new action button if you have a new iPhone 15 Pro, to do it for you. Either way, the great thing is that Reminders now is absolutely brilliant at collecting stuff into your lists. So that takes care of the collecting. But more than that, even Apple Notes, and even though really traditionally I've been an Evernote user, nothing beats Apple Notes for getting ideas into the system. I'm forever using Apple Notes when I take my dog for a walk, and ideas come to me when I'm out walking. So I'm using Apple Notes all the time. And I now have a widget on my home screen on my phone where all I need to do is just tap the button and get it into the system. Collecting with Apple's tools now is probably the fastest and easiest way to do it than any other third-party application that's trying to do the same thing. And what about organizing? Well, organizing is probably the same for pretty much all of our tools, whether you're using a third-party productivity tool or you're using Apple's tools. But that said, Apple have now introduced note linking in Apple Notes, which actually makes it really simple to be able to have a centralized place, something I like to call my master projects list, and be able to link notes that you've collected on those into your system. So organizing actually becomes a lot easier. But even with Apple Reminders, because of the way that the lists are structured in the sidebar, it just makes it so much easier to organize. And part of the thing with organizing is if it doesn't need doing this week, then you don't need to be adding dates to tasks. You just need to move it off into next week. Well, that's for those of you who are using the time sector system. If you're not using the time sector system, you may have a very convoluted and complex way of getting stuff into your various lists, like project lists or whatever else you're organizing it. But the organization is brilliantly simple, which is always something good, because the less time you spend organizing your stuff, the more time you have for doing the work that matters. And that's really ultimately why we do need to have a simple organization method or process, if you like. And as I say, Apple Notes, your calendar, and Reminders all do that wonderfully well for you. Now, before we get to the final part of COD, the doing, what I would like to mention is, for those of you interested, I have recently updated my Apple Productivity course to iOS 17 and Mac OS Sonoma. If you're interested in learning everything you need to know to build your very own productivity system using only Apple's tools, and that includes iCloud, Apple Notes, Reminders, Calendar, and so on, then that course is exactly for you. I'm going to put the full details of that course in the show notes below, but I think it's if you really, really want to build your very own productivity system using Apple's tools so that you don't have to worry about third-party or pay extra for third-party applications, then this is a fantastic course. It is going to teach you how to implement the time sector system inside Apple's tools, but it's also going to take you through every single productivity tool that Apple does: Reminders, Notes, Calendar, and Freeform, which many people tend to forget about, but which is a great planning tool. It's all there in the course, and I'm going to put the link in the show notes so that you can decide if you wish to take that course. And now we come to the most important part of any productivity system, and that is, does it enable you to get on with your work with the ease that you need in order to avoid procrastination? Well, I think today Apple productivity tools really do help you with that, because with Reminders, you can organize it now and use the smart list, which means that you've got a very focused list, or you can build a very focused list to see what must be done today, your absolutes if you like, and if you have time you can move off to the less important stuff for the day. Remember, at the end of the day, time is fixed. We can't change that. You get those 24 hours a day and you have a number of activities that you're going to need to do. So being able to build a focused list of tasks to do inside Reminders is a fantastic feature that Apple introduced actually last year, the smart list, but it does enable you to be able to get a focused list of just the important things that need to be done today. And of course, Apple Notes has very, very powerful search. You can drop emails in, links in there, you can drop images, you can drop all sorts of things in there, which will enable you to get on with your work in a distraction-free environment. And that is a really important part of doing. You don't want the distractions coming up. Plus, something that I haven't featured in the course, but something that you want to be aware of, is you can actually turn on Do Not Disturb on your computer, your phone, your iPad, whatever tools you're using, in order to get on and do some focused work each day. Now, you don't have to spend all day doing focused work. Focused work just means picking 1 or 2 hours somewhere in the day where you turn off all distractions and you get on with the most important deep work, if you like, for the day. So yes, if you have access to Apple's tools, i.e. you have a MacBook or you have an iPad, perhaps also if you have a phone, does help, you have an absolutely brilliant set of tools that you can build a robust, strong and reliable productivity system out of. You don't need today to go and use third-party applications. Apple have been working very hard on this. It's finally they've woken up to this world of time management and productivity. And of course, Apple's calendar is been around for such a long time. It's one of the industry standards. It's very easy to share calendars. It's very easy to set up appointments in calendars and share it with other people. It is a fantastic tool. So you have everything you need to build a productivity system using only Apple's tools. Now, of course, if you work in an environment that uses Windows or Google, then perhaps this is not necessarily the best way forward. But if you do have complete freedom over the tools that you use for productivity, then yes, I'm going to answer the question, can you build a robust and solid productivity system using only Apple's tools? And the answer to that question now is absolutely yes, you can. Now, if you want to learn a little bit more about building out your very own tools, then this video next is what I suggest you watch.